thought I'd make a little video to show what my workflow is when transcribing gravestones. I guess we're going to start out with one that's a little more complicated. Just by looking at this, if I were to guess, Jack and Carol, based on their birth dates, are married, and Sean is the child. We have another person here, Claire Smith. I'm going to assume that she's probably Carol's mom. Now we can't, enter those assumptions, but there are ways that we can try to find out, especially since Claire Smith appears to have died in 2013, which is relatively recently. So when I do the transcriptions, I don't use the mouse a whole lot. I primarily use the tab key to work my way through. So let's start off. We've got Jack, J. You don't put the period when you put initials. That's just the format that Find a Grave uses, and you can find that in the FAQs. Set. So there I've just tabbed 4 times to get into the birth year. Now that might be a little small, so you can zoom in and then you can see, oh, okay, so it's 1948. And tab over to 2003, and then tab until you get to add an additional person and enter. And then we can add in Carol, A, set, and 1946, we don't have an end year, and add an additional person. Sean, C, set. 1972, and no end year. And lastly, Claire Smith. 2013. So now we're going to enter this. We've got Jack, Carol, Sean, Lalancette, and Claire Smith. So it's giving us a suggestion. There's a Claire Smith who was born in 1908 and died in 2005. That's not our person, so we're going to click Create New. No other suggestions there. So because Claire Smith died relatively recently, I'm going to open up the Ottawa Citizen obituaries online and see if I can find her. So we're looking for a Claire Smith who died in 2013. (2007), 2005, 2012, 2013, and this looks about right. Beloved mother of Carol, that was one of our people. Cherished grandmother of Sean Lalancette, so this seems to be about right. So while we're waiting for that to load, we're going to go and search for the people we just entered. Oh. Well, it's a good thing I keep entering that R there by accident, because I clearly made a mistake. So we're going to go in and edit that. Save changes. And we've already got her opened up, so that's good. And we also want to open up Jack and Sean. And we want to find Claire Smith. All right, so now what we're going to do is take the obituary we found for Claire Smith and put it into her profile. And I'm also going to copy the URL to put into there. And then we'll take whatever data we can get out of here. The tombstone, for instance, only says 2013, but the obituary shows that it's September 5th, 2013, so that's what we're going to add. So it does show that she is Carol's mother, and Carol is married to Jack. So this is all documentation that can be used to do the rest of the relationships. So I'm going to save the changes on that. Now we'll copy Claire's memorial ID, and we're going to edit Carol. So we can put that Carol's mother is Claire, and we can put that Carol's spouse is Jack. We'll save those changes. Now if we refresh Jack, we can see that his spouse lists as Carol. Now we're going to edit Sean. And we'll put Jack as his father and Carol as his mother. So you can see that transcribing a grave marker is not just about typing in what's there. It's also about creating the connections. Cemetery tends to be filled with people who are related to one another, and Find a Grave has the ability to show you those connections, but it doesn't do it automatically. You have to tell the website what the connections are. And now we can see that Sean Lalancette shows his parents. We can also see that Jack shows his spouse and child. Once I refresh. See, spouse and children. And we can see that Claire shows her, well, one of her parents and her spouse and one of her children. So once that's all done, we can close those people out and move on to the next marker. So this one should be a little quicker. Declan. And Violet. Now, because these two people are on the same marker, it's one man and one woman with similar birth years, you can assume that these two were a married couple. Often it'll say on one of these little plaques, it'll say something like together forever. But because they're both on the same marker and because of those particular hints, you can assume that. So we're just going to add the two people here, Declan and Violet Simser. And then we're going to look them up so we can make the connections. While we're waiting for that to load, we'll also see if Violet, who had a recent death date, is in here in the obituaries. So there she is there. We'll open that one up. While we're waiting for that, we'll open up Declan and Violet. So paste in the obituary, copy the URL, paste that in. And we'll also add the spouse. And we'll see what kind of information we can pull out of the obituary. Okay, so we have the actual date, the 1st of November. We have her maiden name as Woods. Dear mother of Larry, Ron, Ken, Carol, Gary, and the late Raymond. So we can see if there's Raymond Simser in here. And there's not. If there were, then we could link his parents. So that seems to be all of the information we can pull out of there. The gender is female. Save changes. Sometimes an obituary will also show like the actual, the husband's, the spouse's full name. So then you could add that, maybe we don't know what Declan's middle initials G stands for, but sometimes it's in there. Sometimes you can also guess. It's not something that we would go and add in there, but he has a son named Gary. So it's possible that the G in Declan, middle name, stands for Gary. But that's pretty much as far as we can take it right now. I've also shown some possibilities for what we could do if there was other data available to us, like if we had a marker available for Raymond, but we don't. So that one's done. Maybe we'll do one more just to, this one's pretty quick because it's just the one person. Hartford clerk. I'm sure you get the general idea, so hopefully that'll help you when you're transcribing gravestones to think that it's not just about typing what's in there, it's also about making the connections, the links within Find a Grave, so that if there are two people or more on a single marker, that they are linked together so that people can find them, find the whole web of relatives when they're looking for their ancestors. Thanks for taking the 15-20 minutes here, and hope that helps you in the future.